So our next speaker is Shunichi Kasahara. His talk will be Parallel Eyes Exploring Human Capability and Behaviors with Paralleled First-Person View Sharing.
So good morning, everybody. So my name is Shunichi Kasahara from Sony Computer Science Laboratory at Tokyo University. So I'm going to talk about the Parallel Eye project, which explores human capability and behavior with the Parallel Eye first-person video sharing. So let me show the video to illustrate our research. The basic idea of Parallel Eye is connecting multiple perspectives among the multiple persons. So each person who are wearing the Parallel Eye goggle can see the three other perspectives, as well as their own perspective video. So kind of one of four is on my perspective, and then three other is other perspective. So I think you can imagine that easily imagine that this is kind of the real version of the split screen of the shooting game. So it's going to be the real version of our life. So for player perspective displayed in the split screen like this. So if you're a great gamer, you know that you should check the other person's perspective as well as your perspective. Then our research explores how human develops their viewing behavior in this visual situation. We focus on the two activities with drawing with memory and the simple tag game. But it's actually not simple at all because the visual situation is very complicated, something like that. But however, the result of our observations shows that the human actually complement memory each other, or also acquired some viewing behavior in this visual situation. Later on, I will show some of the actual observation and the insight from this research. So let me back to a little bit about the motivation of this research. So our eye and our perspective is the essential media to understand our embodiment, also what we are doing. Therefore, the sharing our perspective video is providing the various applications, including a sharing of experience or video-mediated communication. However, there is a missing portion for research and application. That is what we call mutual perspective sharing. And Parallel Eye is the possible configuration of this. So nowadays, technology such as a head-mount display or wearable camera is almost there or will be available soon. Therefore, our hypothesis is that if humans can use of the multiple shared perspective in an effective way, we can augment human visual perspective. So our research question is how humans acquire this viewing behavior to understand the shared mutual perspective. And if humans do that, what is the behind mechanism of that, and what is the important factor? So I'd like to briefly touch on a little bit about related work. So exploring the swapping or exchanging perspective has been explored in the experimental art exploration. For instance, so into this communication machine by Hachiu, or machine to be another by the Be Another Lab. And also, from the CSCW research, the sharing first-person video is active topic. So for instance, in CAI 2014, there is a research about the sharing paired first-person video in outdoor situation. However, this exploration didn't focus on the parallel viewing where we want to explore. So, to study our research question, we built the Parallel Eye system, which enabled the mutual perspective sharing among the four people, and designed two activities for our study. So basically, Parallel Eye uses smartphone-based HMD, head-mount display. So we use a smartphone camera as our own perspective. And it's kind of video see-through head-mount display. And each head-mount display exchange video stream each other over the wireless network. So with our customized software, delay of the video streaming is less than 200 milliseconds, so that they can do some lock and scissors with the Parallel Eye. But this is actually a very important factor for giving a good experience in the parallel eye. And also, to capture the unconscious behavior of watching, we actually embedded the real-time eye tracking system into the head-mount display. It captures a single eye image and tracks the eye movement of each user. So, for instance, as you can see, the colored line indicates the traces of each person. So now we can see who is watching whose view in real time. But this display is only for the workshop or just for the workshop audience or post-analysis. So their tracking information is not visible for each person during the activity, because showing that it might be change the behavior of the users. Right, so with this parallel eye system, we conduct a workshop research with main two activities. So this is an overview of the fact of the workshop in our study. So we note that almost all participants are novice or beginner for the technology like a virtual reality. So therefore, the design principles of the workshop are novice-friendly and also simple to understand. So we designed two activities. One is a drawing memory task to investigate intellectual work, especially a memory and creative process. And also we designed a tag game to study about how humans understand embodiment and the spatial relationship between from the mutual shared perspective. So in this talk, I'm gonna talk about focus on the result of tag game. But before focusing on tag game, a little bit about touch on the drawing process, drawing activities. So in this task, persons are asked to draw something famous like a rabbit or like a giraffe with only on memory and other perspective. So in short, they actually did complement their memory each other and then finish their drawing, even they didn't remember all the details of the drawings. So we found several interesting behavior about how they draw and how they see the other person's view and complement each other. So if you have interest in it, please read the paper, or can catch me after the talk. So let me move on to the tag game. In this tag game, rule is very simple. So one person as a chaser is going to touch others, and the other person try to escape from the chaser. When the person is touched, the rule is changed. It's simple. However, the visual situation is quite complicated. So therefore, at the beginning of the game, the reaction like this. So this guy is astonished because he found himself in the another perspective. So I will show you some examples. But however, they gradually acquire a sense of how to use this kind of shared perspective. So for instance, this is from this quote: when I found myself in the chaser's perspective, I knew it was time to escape. So when they're escaping from the chaser, many players actually use the chaser's view. So in this video, P3, person 3, is going to escape from P4. All right, so let's see. So, right? So P3 found himself in P4, but actually this is we have to kind of think about the parallel processing and understand this video. So please play this video in slow. So please see the green trace. This is actually the eye movement of piece 4, right? So as you can see, the P3 actually finding himself in P4 view. So the P3 started to escape from P4, right? And surprisingly, one more interesting thing is that P3 actually didn't look back for to find a P4 by himself. He just finds he was going to be touched because he can find himself in a P4 view. The another one is a more kind of advanced behavior. And some person could move their body with watching their other perspective. So we can say it's like something like an understanding on embodiment from other perspective. All right, so this is a video. So this time, P4 is escaping from P3. Yeah, she's great. Actually. Yeah, and finally she get touched, but we're done, I think. Okay, so let me play with the slow speed video. So in this time, please see the red line, which is a kind of eye trace of the P4, right? So actually, the P4 is sometimes checks the P3 view to understand how to move her body. This is actually surprising because she didn't use own perspective, using the other's perspective to move her body. Yeah, this is funny. Anyway, so these are just examples of the viewing behavior. But in general, a key factor is to understand the spatial relationship and embodiment from other perspective. So, but the things we surprise is those reaction is quite fast and quite quick. So further question is what kind of the perception or cognitive mechanism behind this behavior? So we analyze the recorded video or eye tracking data and the person interview. Then we found the two successive factors. The one is visual attention cue, to finding something related to our body. And another one, the second one is a contextual building. It's to understand the relationship between attention cue and own body. So let me show the example of the attention cue. So this is the example, the moment when a person found own body in the other person. Even it was very quite small, right? So in here, the P3 finds P4 on body in P4, but it's quite small. But just after 1 or 2 frames, he moves quickly his eye to P4. And this is another example, a little bit funny, because the P3 found an item with similar color to own color, body image, body crosses. So actually, that was not item related to the P3. So he just after this moment, I actually back to his own view. But the interesting point is that basically the player is looking at own perspective. They didn't pay attention for the another view area. But however, they could immediately focus on some visual items related to own body, even in the another perspective. And after those viewing behavior towards the attention cue, we think player might perform the higher level of processing, understand the spatial relationship between, like confirming the whether the video attention cue is on or not, or understanding the whether where other person looking at me from, or understanding the relative or global position of others, something like that. But anyway, as an interesting finding in the post interview, player did not mention about what they did with attention cue. However, the behavior of the contextual building were clearly mentioned by player in the post interview. That's why I think the contextual, the attention cue is done in the unconsciously, and the context building is done in conscious. So I'd like to summarize that by good combination, by good combination of the unconsciousness and the conscious process, player can recognize own embodiment and spatial relationships with parallel eye situation. And also, as for the design implication, identifying what is the factor in unconsciously and what is the factor in conscious, and then designing the enhancement of these factors is a key issue for the design implication. So, but as a first short discussion, some might have a question about, so what is the impact for our life with the parallel eye? So we envision that this parallel eye will enable the distributed cognition among the multiple persons, and it will provide a new form of mutual communication in technology-mediated collaboration. And also, the sense of multi-person embodiment with a parallel eye is interesting for the technology-enhanced sports, I think. And more about the former high-level discussion for the future work, I'd like to give some interesting point of the virtual reality technology. That is VR tech for the connecting human perception. Because the VR technology usually try to reproduce human nature perception or interaction, like sensation. But however, with that technology, I think human perception can be connected to each other. And then it will lead some the corrective perception. So we think the corrective perception by connecting human will be potential research domain. And this corrective perception will enable the augmentation of our perception beyond the individual perception. So we call this conceptual framework as superception, superperception, the superception. So with this research vision, our future work will explore about various superception, like a visual, auditory, tactile, and then embodiment superception, and also explore what is behind the mechanism for the superception. Right. So in conclusion, we propose the prior eye, the system for the mutual perspective sharing. And then throughout the workshop research, we found that humans actually complement memory each other and also augment the sense of embodiment with a prior eye. Then we also find that in the behind of this behavior, there are some unconscious and conscious human reaction. So the design implication, enhancing this factor is important for designing the mutual shared perspective. And finally, we also provide the future direction of research about the perception to kind of enable the corrective perception. All right, so thank you for your time, and I'm happy to open for your question.
All right, so we'll open up for questions.
Hi, Scott Bateman from University of New Brunswick. This is really fun. I love this.
Thanks.
So one thing I didn't hear you talk about in the talk, the things that went wrong, especially in that tag game, right?
Yeah.
I played GoldenEye on Nintendo 64 for most of high school. And it was just like you say, right? You have those 4 screens.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You're looking at other people's screens.
Yeah, yeah.
But oftentimes what we would experience is, by looking at someone's screen and you see yourself, and then you panic, right? And you start running, right? You move your guy away because you see yourself being snuck up on by somebody else.
Yeah.
And you move away, and when you move away, you look back at your screen, you don't know what's happened, right? And how did I get here? And so there was always this thing, and then you would end up looking, and then you'd see yourself kind of going around like this, and you look like a fool kind of thing. Did anything happen like this? Did it break down at all?
Yeah, you mean sometimes they lost their embodiment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting thing is that sometimes some people is focused on other perspective, then lost their embodiment, something like that. So the guy is walking and then hit the kind of cardboard, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think this is interesting notion and then the possible kind of the caution for design, because how to maintain the own embodiment is another issue for this kind of mutual perspective sharing, I think.
Cool.
Thanks.
Evgeny Abdulin, Texas State University.
Yeah.
So the question is about eye tracking system that you implemented. Actually, there are 2 questions.
Yeah.
First, how did you select the parameters? I mean, how did you select frames per second rate, and how did you decide that it's sufficient for your research? That's the first. And another about software. Is it your software that processed the eye movement, or you use some open source or something?
All right. So the second question is much easier. So this software is built by myself. It's not open source. And also, I couldn't understand the first question precisely.
So what frames per second rate for your
All right.
And how
So
did you decide that it is sufficient for your research?
All right. So actually, the bottleneck of the system is actually the camera frame rate, because camera is very small. So camera frame rate is kind of 30 per second. So the kind of the recognition frame rate is also the 30 second. And then also, actually, this time the precision of the eye tracking is not so accurate actually. So you can see the traces of the lines, but actually it's not quite absolute position. I mean, but we can manage to understand which area they are looking at. So the precision kind of resolution is something like that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hi, Andrew from Georgetown, and I want to ask, how long does it take for a person to accustom to others' perspective?
Yeah.
It takes several minutes or take several hours?
Right. This is actually a great question, because I couldn't have a kind of the quantitative, kind of the precise study about that. But in my impression, the kids get kind of the get better. I think the older person didn't get better over the time. Then kids sometimes 2 minutes or 3 minutes after that they can get behavior something like that.
Hi, I'm Kanu from LG Electronics. I have two questions.
Yep.
Do you have any reason to make four multi-screen? I think the number of screen is related to cognition.
Yeah.
The second question is, wasn't there any VR sickness?
Sorry?
VR sickness,
right.
motion sickness, right?
Right. This is also a question. This is a great question. So the design rationale of the first split view is actually the limitation of the field of view of the head-mount display. So if we have a lot of the field of view, maybe we can add more, like 9 or 16 or something like that. But for the right now, so we set the 4 because it can maximize the possibility. And the second one is, so some people get sick, but they didn't get as sick than I expected. Because actually, they always have their own perspective. So their perception is anchoring always basically anchoring on their own perspective. So maybe if you have a kind of 100% other perception, other perspective, maybe you get sick. But we still have a compassion of the own view, so we didn't get sick so much.
Let's thank our speaker one more time.
Thank you.